Hi, whoever you are. And I just listened to a really awesome transformational podcast yesterday, and it was a story I've heard multiple times, but I'm not sure if it's something that everyone's really aware of. So I thought it would be a cool thing to share. So for anyone that has tons of food allergies, especially because there's a lot of kids that are just having really a hard time with a lot of foods, whether that's nuts or dairy or gluten or something like that, and they have all these food sensitivities or allergies. All of those pretty much stem from how healthy our gut health is, how our gut health is. And so basically, if we think of our intestines as like a mesh net, if we don't have like a tight knit net or a thick mucus layer on like the inside of that net, hi mom, then basically anything that's an irritant can escape into our bloodstream and cause an allergic reaction. And I think what I find a lot of times is that people are like, oh, I'm allergic to this, and they think that's the end all, like that's the rest of their life they're going to have that issue. And I've been seeing tons of testimonies of people that have been able to work on their gut health and actually be able to eat those foods again because they have like a thicker mucus layer and a more tight-knit mesh net, and they're able to handle those things. And so this mom in particular that I was listening to yesterday, her poor son he was like 9 years old at the time, and he couldn't have any nuts at all. He couldn't have any wheat, and then there was like one other thing that they couldn't even figure out what he was allergic to, and he would get this like rash around his mouth, and he was just always uncomfortable. And it turns out it was carrageenan, which is like I think it's a thickener and additive that they add to a lot of foods, and it was so like trace and different, it was really hard for them to figure it out. And so this mom was like, oh my gosh, the rest of his life he's going to have to be so careful about anything that he eats. And she started looking into, okay, well, what causes these allergies? And so a lot of times the biggest causes of people having these issues is irritants in our food, most specifically glyphosate, which is Roundup. So that herbicide is sprayed on a lot of food, and it is known to break down that mucus layer of our gut and cause allergic reactions. And so what the first thing she did was she went all organic, and that's not necessarily like an easy step for all of us, and I don't even think that's especially necessary. I like to, be able to still shop on a budget, and there's some things that actually don't have to be bought organic, like, geez, that's loud. Avocados and onions and peas, cabbage, like those kind of things actually don't have that big of a pesticide residue. But there are like 5 foods that if you have allergies or your kids have allergies, I would work on cutting these out, because these are super, super high in glyphosate, and that's like one of the biggest things that's going to irritate our guts. And they don't spray Roundup on all crops. They basically spray it on GMO foods. So GMOs are usually modified so that they're Roundup ready, and that basically means that all the weeds around them will die if they're sprayed with Roundup, but they are specifically engineered to tolerate a whole ton of that herbicide. And then I had just recently learned this too. There are a couple crops that aren't GMO, aren't modified, but they spray Roundup on them right before they harvest, actually to make the harvesting easier, because it eats away the outer layers. So that is true with wheat and oats. Those aren't GMO, but they spray them with Roundup like at the very end, so that they don't have to like spend as much time processing them, which is really sad. And so the 5 foods that I would recommend cutting out if you have allergies, and the mom that did this, her son within a year was able to eat most of those foods that he had previously been deathly allergic to, and was actually able to like become a normal kid again, just from cutting out these like huge disruptors of his gut health. So oats I would cut out. Wheat, I would not cut out. I would make sure to buy organic. And then the top GMO crops, which is soy, corn, and actually canola oil, which is in a lot of things. So those are all going to be like, if you have allergies, they're just going to make it worse. And they've connected allergies, asthma, ADHD, and autism all to basically how the integrity of our gut health is. So if any of those things are an issue, then these are 5 foods that are way worth investing in organic. And there's others also. You can look up the Dirty Dozen, things like apples and berries and kale, like those are important. And those are sprayed with pesticides, but not necessarily with actual Roundup, which is, I think, the most disruptive to our gut health that we can find. So, anyways, I hope that's helpful for you guys. If you want to kind of learn more about the importance of your gut health, what steps you can take to heal your gut, and this can help with a multitude of issues, any kind of inflammation that you're having, even depression, weight loss, things like that, I would love to do a consultation with you on what we can do about your gut health. So I'll drop a link in the comments, and I'll be happy to talk to you. 30 minutes, just kind of talk about what's going on with your gut health. That's definitely something I love to specialize in and talk to you guys about. Okay, hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.